Yes, that's the Engineer Your Success podcast, where we provide tools, tips, and techniques to help you achieve success both in business and in life. Kind of the way that my approach to coaching and to life and everything that I do is really based on two things. I want you to win at work, and I want you to win at home. Because if you're not winning at home, you're going to have some issues that are going to show up at work. And if you're not winning at work, those issues are going to show up at home. So I really believe that you can do both. And so that's a lot of what I talk about. You know, Jerry, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to the group. We're going to talk maybe 15 minutes or so, have some questions. Again, it's really meant to be interactive. It's okay if you don't have your camera on. I am not going to shame you into putting your camera on. It's okay if Lawrence wants to get up and dance and have the music playing. I don't know what you guys did last night. That is okay. That is not going to be distracting. What I will ask you for is for your attention. That's what I'm asking for. I don't need your camera, but I need your attention. And I only need that attention for about 15 minutes. That's it. About 15 minutes. That's it. We're going to have a two-way discussion really intended to accelerate your progress. It really is intended to accelerate your progress. You know, I was looking at what we had prepared to talk about, teamwork and the different things, the elements that are needed to be able to build your team. But before we get there, one thing that occurred to me, a few things occurred to me, and this is one, and I'm going to, you guys, I want you to chime in. You can use the chat box or whatever it is, but there's absolutely one thing that you have to, that's essential for you to have in order for you to accelerate your progress. And what do you think that is? You can unmute yourself, you can chime in, or you can use the chat box.
Goal?
Self-improvement.
Okay, so we have goals. I'm going to take notes.
Self-improvement.
All right, goals, self-improvement. What else?
What was the question?
Persistence.
Belief in oneself.
Goals, self-improvement, persistence, belief in oneself. These are all things that are crucial to accelerating your progress, but it's not essential. It's a trick question. In order to accelerate something, you first have to have it. So if you don't have any progress, it doesn't matter. If you're not doing anything, it doesn't matter how much you accelerate it. You're going to continue to accelerate a downward trend. You're going to continue to accelerate what you're doing. Now, the question that you answered, and is the other part of this, is that really in order for you to have progress, you have to have something. And I think Jerry said a goal. And what I would say you have to have a destination, right? Can you imagine, Mahmoud, if you're going somewhere and you don't know where you're supposed to be going, how do you measure progress? You don't. So all of these things are absolutely crucial: mindset, belief, self-importance. But if you don't know where you're going, you're going to have an issue really trying to make any kind of meaningful progress because you don't know what to measure. You don't know what the finish line is. So the next thing I wanted to kind of go into about goals about progress is that you'll hear people say that you really have to see yourself, in the winner's circle, to see yourself where you want to be. Go through this whole visualization techniques, and I'll say, okay, if you guys see yourself partnering and buying that bigger multifamily project, see yourself with the project, see yourself at the celebration, see yourself hanging out with your crew, kind of enjoying all of the fruits of your labor. But I would venture to say that there's one thing that misses. And I think this one thing that it misses is key to really being able to accelerate your ability to achieve your goals. It really does. And we're going to get to the teamwork part. We're going to get to all of the different things that are essential for you building your team and why that's important. But I wanted to take a quick detour to kind of hit on this. And, if you would, what I want you to do is to think about your destination. I'm going to do a quick exercise. Think about where it is you want to go with your business, what that end goal is. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Now, those of you that have your cameras on, I can see you. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Take a few, sit up tall. Take a few deep breaths. I want you to clear your mind. And what I want you to do is to first, I want you to see you there. See you with your friends, see you with your crew, see you actually, in the winner's circle, you're crossing the finish line. You're at the end. So I want you to hold that there. And I want you to just get, they tell you to attach the emotion to it, right? And to get happy about seeing what you've already achieved. Now what I want you to do, and this is key, I want you to think about all of the obstacles that can get in your way. Your mind may bring up several. You may say, James, why am I focusing on obstacles? I see myself at the finish line. The obstacles aren't important, but see, the obstacles are important. I want you to see those obstacles. I don't want you to get mad at them. I don't want you to judge them, but I want you to see them. The next thing I want you to see is you overcoming those obstacles. Whatever that thing is that keeps coming to your mind, whatever it is that is getting in the way of you getting to that destination, I want you to see yourself overcoming it. I want you to see yourself doing the work that is required for you to overcome that obstacle. Overcoming that obstacle is your key, really, to accelerating your progress. I want you to see yourself overcoming all of the no's. I want you to see yourself overcoming all of the closed doors. I want you to see yourself overcoming the clicks from the phones that have now hung up, that didn't want to take your call. I want you to see yourself overcoming the relationships that you need to let go of. See yourself overcoming the people that you need to stop investing your time into. See yourself overcoming your old habits. See yourself building the team that you want. Now attach the same emotion that you had when you're thinking about the finish line to you overcoming those obstacles. A few more deep breaths. Okay, open up your eyes. You have to see yourself overcoming the obstacles that are before you. We can talk about, all of these other things. We can talk about building a team, and you can say that these people, this is the issue. This person is a problem. I can't do this. I can't do that. No. The obstacles are the things that provide you the strength and prepares you for whatever that next stage is that you need to overcome. Any comments on the exercise before we move forward to some of the points for really building your team?
I think everybody got a little bit too comfortable with that relaxation.
I think imagining things is just planning the road for yourself to actually overcome those obstacles is 1.5 the battle, basically. because even Napoleon used to prepare his soldiers to actually picture themselves going to battle before they go to the battle, and each soldier had double the effort and double the strength of each soldier he's opposing.
Yes.
And this is what you did right now was incredible, because you do imagine the obstacles, you work them out, but you had to set a goal that you want to achieve, and you tie those things to your goal, and you feel so much better about yourself already, you know?
Yep.
It's great.
Yep. Thanks, Amit. Anybody else?
I liked it. It was, you started with the finish line, and then when you talk about the obstacles, I think it's just important to, the obstacles are the same for most people. And it's just people saying no and your self-worth being reduced as a result of that, and just pushing through that. And it's not about them, it's not about you, it's about what you want to go after and sticking to that. So it was good.
Yeah, I think it's important to see yourself overcoming those things, to see yourself not only as the victor, but going through the process of obtaining victory. It's important to see yourself winning within the battle, not just at the end of the battle. Lawrence, what you got to say, man? Oh, Gonzalo, go ahead, man.
I was just going to say quickly that I feel like just visualizing you at your goal without thinking about all the struggle and all the obstacles you had to overcome to get to where you saw yourself, I don't think would be as good as a feeling, you know?
Yeah, no, I would agree. And what happens when you strictly visualize yourself as at the end result, at the goal, and you don't think about the obstacles, when resistance comes, you might crumple. When resistance comes, you may detour, an unneeded detour that you didn't have to do. But when you prepare yourself, you're not just preparing yourself for the win. You're preparing yourself to battle for the win. Lawrence, I'm gonna pick on you, man.
So, thank you, James. We said when you talk about obstacles, all I could think about one obstacle, right, is me, right? Because I'm a firm believer in it's you against you, right? Sometimes we're the only obstacle there is. Sometimes I feel there's not much obstacles. It's all between the 6 inches between your ears. That's the big obstacle right there. But that's what you said in the Caribbean, right?
Yeah, but I think what it is, even there, Lawrence, is that you can say that the obstacle is you, but now I think you have to break it down and think of what are the behaviors that are getting in the way of you achieving your goal. Because it simplifies it to a point where it almost becomes not useful just to say the obstacle is me. The obstacle is me because I am doing this, that, or the other thing. The obstacle is me because I am getting in the way of my progress because I'm doing X, Y, Z. You have to start to really narrow that down to the points that are getting in your way so that you can work through and develop a plan and see yourself overcoming them, right? Because it's really nebulous to say, okay, I'm going to visualize the obstacle. The obstacle is me. I see myself overcoming me. Okay. But the obstacle is me because in negotiations, I tend to talk too much and I share too much information. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to visualize myself in this meeting. I'm going to visualize myself going through this negotiation. I'm going to visualize the urge to say more. And you know what? I'm going to visualize myself overcoming myself and resisting that urge so that I can get to the agreement, the contract that I want. So you got to break it down.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. No doubt.
Okay. All right. So what's the biggest thing that gets in the way when you think about accelerating your progress with your network? You can use the chat, unmute yourself. So, if you're thinking about accelerating your progress, right? You want to make progress. How does your team help you or hinder you from doing that? And not in general. I mean, specifically with you. If you can think through specifically right now what you're working on. For me, it was really not wanting to expand too fast and then having to learn how to delegate properly. That was getting in my way. Because you have the one school of thought that's like, okay, I'm hiring you, or you're going to be on the team and you're going to do this. You're going to take care of that problem, and I'm not going to think about it anymore. But unless I actually go through and really define the outcome that I'm looking for, then what I get back may not be what I'm looking for. I may be disappointed with it. So it takes a lot of work on the front end to delegate properly. So that's one of the things that was getting in my way that I've really had to learn to do.
Would that be from the book, the Dan Sullivan, Who Not How? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, you get to the who not how, where you start thinking of who do you need in your life, who has the expertise to be able to do that. But who not how, the title is very misleading because he really does go through and specify what the outcome that he wants out of that who, right?
Right.
It's not so much, I don't care how you do it, but here is the very clearly defined goals. Here are the very clearly defined goals that I want as the outcome. Now you figure out how to get me those outcomes, but now we have that settled. When I first thought of who not how, I just need to find the people who are strong in those areas that I'm weak in. I just need to find the people who know how to write a book, or I need to find the people that know how to do a podcast. I need to find the people that know how to do the things that I want, and I'll just give it to them, and we'll have a conversation, and they'll go do it. No. It's very similar to delegating anything. You have to really specify the outcomes that you're looking for to be able to hand that off. So delegation gets in the way, and a lot of that has to do with clearly defining kind of what's happening. One of the other things you have to be clear on in what you're delegating is what problem are you actually trying to solve for yourself? What are you trying to solve? And Matt says, yeah, it's all about setting clear expectations. I absolutely agree, Matt. You set those expectations, you set the deliverables, you work with your team. What's another thing that gets in the way? We have a talkative bunch tonight.
I would like to say, so before, Lawrence, sorry to cut you off, man. You want to jump in? Or? Yeah, I was
managing yourself, managing your time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was something similar along those lines. Before, when I was working a full-time job, I would always make the excuse, oh, I don't have the time to take care of this because, I was working a lot. And I would slowly progress, but that would be kind of like my main excuse I would hold on to. Now that I'm doing this full-time real estate, I tend to come up with other excuses that replace that. So I'm trying to pull myself sometimes to stop, cut it out.
Mm-hmm. And I think the thing there, Gonzalo, is understanding your triggers, understanding the thing that triggers you to get distracted, right? Whatever it is, whatever it's stopping you from doing what it is you say you want to do. And one of the things that, we really want to win, but we tend to focus on one. And it's a funny acronym, but we really want to focus on what's important now. When? What's important now? So what's important today? You have your goals, you set it out. These are the goals that you have for the day. What's important now? we typically, if we're not really disciplined, we start getting pulled over to one, which is what's urgent now. Everything that's urgent is not necessarily important that you need to take care of right now. And it's really blocking your time and setting that intention and your focus to really say, this is what's important for this urgent thing. I'm going to delegate it, or I'm going to have somebody else take care of it. But I really need to focus on what's important for me, really moving the needle for my business, for me really moving the needle on my goal.
So, and this may sound redundant. We talked about this before, but since how we're in a different setting right now, how do you manage your time, and how do you block time off for yourself?
For me, I use a process called the engineer's blueprint. It's the process that we put together, and it's basically determine, number one, what matters most, what really matters to me. And those are the things that become predefined blocks of time in my schedule. So my faith matters to me. Physically working out matters to me. Time for meditation matters to me, and time for my family. So those things are all blocked out on my schedule. And then there are probably an hour and a half blocks for more deep work, where I'm cutting off the distractions. I'm focusing on things that really need to move whatever it is that's important for me this week, that's fitting in the context of my overall goals. And so one of the things is not so much that your priorities all of a sudden change. So I'll develop, the goals that I'll have for the year, break those down into what I want to achieve within each quarter. And when I'm looking at those daily activities or the things that I want to do, I'm thinking through, how does this tie back to the goal that I have? How does this tie back? How does this help me move forward? And it doesn't mean that I am 100% successful every day. It doesn't. And I don't look at it that way. If there are some days where I have great success in moving things forward, great success, managing my time and my energy, and I'm able to do all of the things that I want to do, or at least the top three things that I say I wanted to get done that day. And when I'm able to do that, it's great, because I believe that you have to celebrate your wins and learn from your losses. And so on those good days, I celebrate them and I write notes and I say, what went well? This is what went well. I went to sleep early last night. I was hydrated today. I had really good energy. When I had this conversation with Lawrence, I was really focused on what he needed, what he wanted, and not on myself. Just being able to remind yourself of the things that you're accomplishing. And on those days when I didn't have it and it didn't go wrong, I don't just chalk it up and say, well, tomorrow is going to be better. No, I've started the practice of focusing in on that day and saying, you know what, today didn't go well. Let's start to look at why it didn't go well. Why do I think it didn't go well? Why didn't I have the energy? Why didn't I show up the way that I wanted to show up? And that self-assessment, and getting into the process of doing that self-assessment without judging yourself. You don't want to judge yourself, but you want to look at your actions and say, okay, what can I work on? What can I do to show up the way that I want to show up in life? Does that answer your question, Lawrence?
Thank you. Yes, it did.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions before we keep rolling?
How about how do you help identify or help when you meet new people, whether it's potential partners or just, in any setting, to identify how you can help to get to a place where both can help each other, essentially, not to keep using the word help so much, but to make use out of to make it so that both are benefiting from the relationship. And how do you how do you get to that process quicker?
I think you get to that process quicker by really being dialed in on what your values are and what you stand for and what mission you're serving in life. Right? So you're dialed in, you have that. You're going to meet other people and you're thinking about how can I serve this person? How can I help this person kind of get where they need to go? You know, how can I help Lawrence do something with his meetup? How can I help Jerry do something with his meetup? He's doing something in Carolinas. What can I do for that? You know, how can I really add value in that situation? I do think that, you know, I tend to approach these things from a relational point of view. So how can I add value within the context of that relationship that we're building? And what are the problems that that individual needs solved? What do I see from the conversations that we have that, oh, that's an issue that they keep bringing up. They keep talking about that. Is there someone that I know in my network that can help? Is there something, is that a conversation that we can have to say, look, I'm hearing you talk and I hear this is an issue for you. I have some resources or some people or a program or whatever it is that may be able to help you out. So it's really approaching it from the position of how can you add value? Because if you know what you need, you know what you bring, then it's easy for you to be able to communicate to that individual how they can bring value to you.
Right.
It's like, it's one of the things like when you're networking, right? If you say, James, we know that you're doing coaching, who you're looking for, who can I refer to you? If I say to you, Jerry, you can refer anybody to me, I'll coach anybody. I can help everybody. If they're high earners, if they're, store managers, I'm here to help everybody. That's not really giving you enough to actually understand who I'm going for. But if I say, hey, Jerry, I am a coach. I have a coaching practice. I focus on engineers. I help engineers win at work and at home. So if you know of any engineers or people with an engineering background that may be, benefit from listening to the podcast or some coaching services, refer them to me. Much more specific than just any or everybody. So even if you're looking for a partner, if you're looking for a team member, if you're looking for somebody to fill a gap, know what you need. Does that answer your question, Jerry?
It does. Thank you.
Ahmed, are you still there? You came on a little bit earlier. Okay.
I think everybody kind of chipped into what I was going to say, but your conversation tend to get to a little personal, especially if I'm talking to people that I know already, But I have voiced my my pains, so to speak, that I came from a W-2 job, basically, but I had a structured lifestyle that I never liked, right? I just was able to make the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm doing things, on my own. The first couple of months, I was like waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to the gym, intermittent fasting, hitting the goals that I want to accomplish, and slowly going like, this is not happening fast enough for me in real estate, So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of cooled off a little bit and was kind of disappointed. I'm not going to go back to W-2 job. What's going on here,
Mm-hmm.
So reality kind of sets in. And that's a struggle that I had to deal with for like about a week or so.
Okay.
Now I'm like, going, okay, this is all in your thoughts, in your head. Just clear it out. Go back to the gym, do the intermittent fasting, take a little walk by the river, and I'm coming back to my senses. And it's all psychological to be honest with you, because I'm okay. I'm not poor. I don't have to go back to work tomorrow. I'm still, we got some deals working on right now. I have awesome partners. I'm doing the things I'm supposed to do. Maybe I should do it a little bit better, more organized. That's something I'm working on. Mm-hmm. But I'm slowly reality sets in. Sometimes go, oh my God, I had that check coming every single 2 weeks. I got my insurance, I got everything coming in. now I have to do things on my own. It's like it's not an easy task to fathom, so to speak.
So I have a couple of questions for you, Amit.
Sure.
Are you doing what you need to do now in order to care for your family the way that you want to?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, that's all. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Are you?
Oh yeah.
It's not even a judgment. I'm just asking.
No.
I'm asking for
No,
a
no.
reason. Okay.
No.
All right.
My family's fine. Everybody's
All
good. Yes.
So what it sounds like to me is part of you still identifies as an identity as that W-2 guy, right? That's part of that inherent identity is the W-2 guy. So now you're shifting your identity and it's like, wait a minute, this is different. I don't have the same, it's not as comfortable and I didn't necessarily like it, but this is different and unfamiliar. And as you're changing through that, you're thinking back, am I still a W-2 guy? What? But I don't want a job, but that identity is still there. And so you're working through transforming your identity through your actions. And so one of the processes we use with our clients is called mirror moments. And a mirror moment is a process where you see yourself for who you are, not who you project to be. So the on the negative end, you hear people that are talking about, oh, I'm all about family. I'm all about, spending time with my kids. I'm all about all of this stuff that they talk about. And then you say, okay, well, let's look at your actions. Let's look at your schedule. Let's look at what are you actually doing? And they're not showing up in life the way that they're projecting that they say they are. But what I've also learned working with clients over the past few months is that happens in the reverse, right? So you're providing what's needed for your family. You're doing what you need to do. But what you see in the mirror, you're seeing something, you're seeing this isn't happening fast enough. What isn't happening fast enough? You're doing what you need to do right now for your family. Number one, give yourself credit, give yourself grace, give yourself a pat on the back, celebrate who you are and what you're doing. And that doesn't mean that you don't want to achieve more in multifamily. I think you can absolutely be good with where you are while you're growing into who you want to be. I really do. And so I would say, think on what you're actually doing. What are you providing for your family? Think about the time you're spending with your son. Celebrate that. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to add to that, if you don't mind, what Ahmed mentioned regarding the W-2. So to me, it kind of feels like when I was at my W-2, I felt like I was accomplishing something. You go to work at 8 a.m., you come home at 6, you accomplished a full day of work and, you're getting your paycheck. So that felt like an accomplishment. You come to that family, right? But then when you switch out of that W-2, it's a completely different kind of world because you're doing different projects, you're working on different things to make different things happen. So to me, it sometimes feels like there's no accomplishments until you close on a deal or until you do something significant, right? That it starts generating revenue because it's a different type of mindset. It's an entrepreneur mindset that I'm slowly trying to shift my mind in that direction versus the W-2 side. So I'm working on that, probably as you are, Ahmed, too.
That's exactly what it is happening. Is the money that I used to have come into my account, I'm not seeing now, even though I'm financially okay. And I do have a couple of properties that producing money for me right now passively, and it's all my work that I did, the hard work that I did for hours and hours, literally doing things with my own hands.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of it, but I want to accomplish more, and I am a type A personality. I'm the first kid out of 7 kids who goes to college, get a good job, come to New York City, have that mentality of I'm the success of my family, and I'm not seeing that accomplishment coming right away. It's kind of hinders me down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But I'm working on it.
You're still a success. Number one. And then what you described to me when we first got on, you said I block off 2 hours for my son to spend time for my son. He sees you as a success. There are not a lot of people, W-2 or not, that have the level of flexibility or desire to invest in their children that way. And so I applaud you for doing that and celebrate you for doing that. And Gonzalo, you're absolutely right. The accomplishments become different, and you do want the big scores. You want to have that feeling. And so part of it is breaking down that longer term goal into the actions and things that you're doing on a daily, weekly, quarterly basis. And you get yourself into this whole, you build momentum by accomplishing those things that you need to do to help you move closer to where you're going. You know, if you think about video games or other stuff that some of us grew up playing in, it was the dopamine hits, right? You know, you're playing a game, you win, dopamine hit is great. You play the game, you win, dopamine hit is great. You go to work, you do what you're supposed to do, you get paid, you get a promotion, it's great. Now you're working on your own. You're like, okay, I got all of these different things that I want to do. I have these big dreams, and I don't want to break it down into these smaller things. These smaller things are inconsequential. They're not when you tie them to the larger goals that you have. What else, guys?
So I'll jump in real quick because just we usually cut it off at 8:30.
Oh, okay.
I'm always appreciative of the guest time. So we do networking Zoom rooms. So 5 minutes ago, so whoever else has any good stuff, get it out there.
I didn't realize we had been here for an hour. I'm sorry, guys.
No, that's awesome, man. Dude, this is like this is great. This is having conversations.
James, why engineers?
Because I am an engineer. I am a licensed professional engineer.
What do you see different about them that you think from the rest of the group?
Do you really want to know the real answer? Okay. Yes. So I started my company. The company's name, nobody understands what it is, but it's Better You for You. Now I'm transitioning that to something to engineer your success. Is going to be, from a branding perspective, it'll be the same as the podcast that I have. And Jerry, I'll make sure I give you links to the podcast and my LinkedIn page, because that's where I'm most active on. But so I started that, and it was literally who you're going to help. I can help everybody, right? I'm a great coach. I'm a great communicator. I'm going to do this. I'm going to help the world. I spent 2.5 years trying to build a business to help everybody and wasn't helping anybody, or very few people. It was just friends and family and other stuff. And it's like, this isn't working. And so you start thinking, you hear, even if you're talking about real estate investing, you know, what's going to be your niche? Where you're going to niche down? Where's going to be your market? And once you find out that market, they say, find out more about that sub-market. You need to be able to understand everything about those neighborhoods and what's happening and where you want to buy and where you want to invest. And so when I started to think about the unique skill set that I have and the market, the built-in market that I already have contacts in, it was like engineers, right? Now it seems like a no-brainer to me. So it's more, and there are people that are, that listen to the podcast. If you look at any of the comments and the reviews on Apple Podcasts, they're like, I'm not an engineer, but I'm getting value. Great. The value isn't limited to engineers. It's just that the message has become much more clear, much more focused, and much more dialed in, because that's the market that I am specifically targeting. But other people are getting value. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And identifying that niche is important for everybody. You can't be everything for everybody.
Yep. Because what I talked, you know, what happened to me is once I started niching down, my impact and reach went much wider on every channel, much wider. So I don't have any regrets. You know, people are like, oh, I don't want to niche down. I'm going to miss this part of this segment. No. I'm good. Well, thank you guys for your time. Jerry, I have some time if you want to hang out, if you want to get people want to get into some breakout rooms or whatever, I'm here.
Yeah. So how about this? You got to do this for 5 minutes. You know where I'm going with this. So everyone here on this call is working on getting a direct to seller campaign. And James has the best. Jimbo, he plays the seller. That is awesome.
Come on, man. Why you gonna talk about Jimbo like that?
I love it.
We gotta hear this.
No, it's all free flow, right? So it would all be a phone call. You're trying to call me. You're calling up trying to buy the property, and I'm giving you a hell of a hard time. And I don't want you to do it, and I do it with the Southern drawl. That's all it is. That's it.
Anyone
What do you mean?
Go ahead. Maybe Ahmed, you could do it. You make these phone calls. Call him right now, and he picks up.
I'm not doing this right now. I don't do very well on pressure. This is why I suck at tests.
No. All right. Ahmed. Here's the thing. Physiologically, your body responds the same to anxiety and excitement. Physiologically, it's the same response. So instead of saying you don't do well under pressure, just I'm excited. I'm excited for this opportunity. I'm excited for this opportunity.
Seriously, I don't do very well. I do better when I'm by myself, and I'm conscious about my voice and accent and everything. So I slow down and drop my voice down a little bit, like a DJ. And I talk on the phone.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, man.
There you go.
So
Late night DJ voice.
I'll jump in. So we'll do it. Go ahead. I'm gonna go. Ring.
Click.
Wow. Next.
Yeah. Oh, man. We did.
First no.
It's the first no. You got to see yourself. So now, Jerry, what you're doing, you're like, I was in a session with Dr. James Bryant, and he said that I had to be able to see myself overcoming the obstacle. And the first obstacle was that click.
Right now, I'm texting Garrett. I said, your list stinks.
All right, go for it, Jerry.
Move on to the next one. All right. Ring.
Hello. Hey, man, how you doing? How can I help you?
I'm doing good. I'm looking for, is this Mr. Bryant?
Mr. Bryant? Man, who in the world you been talking to is on Mr. Bryant? This is Jimbo. What are you talking about? You talking about something, Mr. Bryant?
Okay, Jimbo.
What's wrong with you, man?
My fault there. I didn't mean to get so...
that just tell me that you really don't know who I am, man. What you trying to do? You trying to get me to sell you some property for something on the cheap, ain't you? Wait a minute. What you say your name was again?
Oh, I didn't. It's Jerry.
Oh, I can hear the accent. You must be from up there in the New Jersey, New Yorker area, somewhere up in the Northeast.
Yankee.
You trying to come down here and just take over all of the stuff that we have down here. I mean, all y'all keep moving down here, taking up all the property, spending all the money, just driving up the prices. But you know what? When I think about that, and you guys have all that money to spend, I got a couple properties that Jimbo might be able to show you here now, Jerry.
Now we're talking.
That's awesome.
So we go through this whole monologue, but it's all free flowing. Every time we do it, and Lawrence doesn't believe me. Every time we do it, it's all free flowing. I have no idea what we're going to talk about before I get on the call, and we just started. It'll be like, all right, James, have a conversation. So and so is going to call you, and you want to give them a hard time trying to buy it. So make them work, make them do X, Y, and Z, And we'll spend 20 minutes just going through that. Part of that exercise, though, it even goes back to what we started with. And to really being able to see yourself overcoming the obstacle of the obstinate person that you're talking to on the phone, the person that you don't really have a connection with, and the person that is really giving you a difficult time. You know, be able to see yourself actually overcoming that obstacle and getting to the end result that you want. If you don't remember anything else from tonight, we've had a great conversation. I've enjoyed it. Again, it's not your typical, here are the 5 points that you're going to take to build your team. But if you don't remember anything else, what I want you to remember is the whole process and exercise of seeing yourself overcome those obstacles. People will tell you to ignore the obstacles. Don't do it. People tell you to avoid the obstacles. Don't do it. I want you to see the obstacle and then see yourself overcoming it.
James, thank you very much. This was great.
That was awesome, James. That
Great
itself
stuff.
could be a service by itself. Like, just the one thing that people hate is just cold calling. And if you could have a service where people just need to practice and train,
Yeah, that's a good one.
that's just an exercise. That's the number one fear people have. I just don't want to call some senior person. It doesn't even it's not even related to real estate. It's anything, networking, right? You're trying to find a partner. You're just overflowing with emails. Sometimes you just need to pick up the phone and call.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't do that, including me.
Hey, listen, we don't even do it to our friends. They're friends that we have that we need to reach out to that we're not reaching out to.
By the way, when I met Jerry in the group, I called every single one in person. I did not text message or email anyone. And one person who can attest is Gonzalo. I left a message for him. Garrett, I called him in person. Jerry, I called him in person. Miguel, I called him in person. And they all called me back excited to say, "Ahmed, good job. You called me in person, not text message me or email me."
Yeah.
Just kept it old school.
We typically respond in kind. So if someone calls us, we will call them back. And if you want somebody to call you, call them.
Right.
But I really appreciate everybody's time and being interactive as well. It was good seeing all of you guys again.
Thanks, Doc. Really appreciate it. This was really awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
See you. You too.